name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, the Lord of the world. We thank Him, we adore Him, we glorify His holy name for His mercy and blessing on each and every one of us. We seek for His mercy and blessing on Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May the peace and blessing continue to be upon his household, his companion, and all the Muslims till the day of Qiyamah. Inshallah, our class continues today. We are still with our book, Kitabu Tawhid by Sheikh Al-Fawzan. So we are still on the second chapter and the third section under the second chapter. Where Sheikh says, تقديم القرابين والنذور والهدايا في المزارات والقبور وتعظيمها. Offering of korobin. So the korobin here actually mean offerings or things people give to deity or things they deify as a means of getting closer to them. So they call it korobin. That is the plural of kurba or kurban. So or nuzur, or to vow, to make a vow to them, or to make a vow in a place where people visit, like shrines or altars, or place where people deify some beings or some object. Wal hadaya, and gifts. Al-mazarot, that is to altars, wal kubur, and graveyard, wa ta'zimiha, and also to eulogize them or to magnify them beyond their size or beyond their original status. So what the topic is actually talking about is that there are actually these acts where people give offerings, or they give sacrifice, or they give things in order to appease, or in order to seek, or to ask for something from other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Here Sheikh specifically mentioned al-kubur, that is graveyards. So there are instances whereby people deify, or they will turn the grave of some personality to a place of worship. They visit it regularly, they visit those places or those sites regularly. In fact, there are many places like that, especially in this our country or in this our town. There are places where people have turned the grave or the graveyard or the site of the grave to a place of worship. So people have gone beyond the limits. They exaggerate this their act to the extent that some people even do sujood at this site. So people even stretch their hands in order to pray to the people in the grave in order to solve form of a problem. And you can imagine the illogical way of human thinking. Somebody who is dead, who also needs assistance, somebody who cannot solve his own problem, somebody who is not living, somebody who does not even hear you, then you go to his grave and be praying to him to solve your problem. Somebody who, when he was alive, you know his limits, you know what he can do, you know what he cannot do. You know that he cannot actually solve this problem when he was alive. Now that he's dead, is that the time when you'll be able to solve this problem? Does that make any sense at all? So this is how Shaitan deceives us. And this act of people visiting grave and worshiping grave, it's actually fall on one aspect of where Shaitan has misled the humanity. They call it Aruhaniya. Aruhaniya means spiritism, or worshipping of spirit. And worshipping of spirit can fall into three categories. So there is a ruhaniya that has to do with death. All of us know that somebody who is dead is gone. But they believe that their spirit is still alive. They believe you can call on their spirit and their spirit will actually assist you or do something for you in one way or the other. So another way in which people engage in ruhaniya is by calling on the angel. This is also common, and it is not actually a new thing. So it has always been there, even right from the time of Prophet Musa, even before then, even during the time of Jahiliyyah. So there are some category of people who pray to the angel. They believe they are also spirit. There's another form of ruhaniya or spiritism, and that is calling on the jinn. And this is the most common form of all the spiritual worship we people engage in. So this is the most common, that people actually engage or they seek help from the jinn. And Quran actually rightly observe this and confirm that human being has always depend on the jinn. Like Allah mentioned in Surah Al-Isra, Allah said, قُلْ لَئِنْ اجْتَمَعَتِ الْإِنسُ وَالْجِنُّ عَلَىٰ أَنْ يَأْتِيَ بِمِثْلِ هَٰذَا الْقُرْآنِ لَا يَأْتُونَ بِمِثْلِهِ وَلَوْ كَانَ بَعْضُهُم لِبَعْضٍ ظَهِيرًا. Even Allah said, if mankind and jinkind, if they have combined their energy and their forces with one purpose, for one reason, for one objective, for one goal, the goal is أَنْ يَأْتُوا بِمِثْلِ هَٰذَا الْقُرْآنِ, that they want to produce something similar to what? Quran. Allah said, La ya'tuna bimithlihi. They will never be able to do that. However, they have always been interdependence. There have always been interaction. There has always been sharing of energy, sharing of knowledge. There has always been sharing of what? Of resources among them. وَلَوْ كَانَ بَعْضُهُمْ لِبَعْضٍ ظَهِيرًا. Allah said, even though some part has been depending on another part from time, which means one part between jinn and mankind, one has been depending on the other. Then the question is, who is depending on who? So it has always been human being, like another verse rightly mentioned. It has always been human being that depend on the jinn for help. And the jinn, of course, we cannot see them. So they are also regarded as what? As part of the world or realm of spirit. They refer to what? They regard it as what? Realm of spirit. And it is from this aspect that people or humankind, they miss many things actually that is forbidden in Islam. And this is one of the satanic deception. This is one of the ways Shaitan deceives us. If we are to actually discuss this particular aspect, that is the one that has to do with the jinn. So there are many ways Shaitan attempts to make this thing to be reality, so that people will think it is something that happens. There was a day somebody was telling me about apparition. Apparition is when somebody has died, then you will see is somebody will transform to him. Somebody will wear his form, and he will be acting and behaving like him. So the person gave me actually a story. There was a story of somebody who was known to have died many years ago. Then somebody traveled to another place, and he saw that same person. And the person has married and gave birth to children in his new place of dwelling. Then he saw it physically. He witnessed it, he experienced it. He said, nobody can tell him this is not true. Nobody can tell him this is not a reality, because it is somebody he have direct experience of. So I told him that, did you believe that that person that died is the one that is alive? He said, yes, he believed. Then how is that possible? That somebody have died, he was buried, and not that he resuscitated, he was resuscitated, not that. And his grave is still intact. Then you believe that person is still living, is still working, and is still acting. He said he believed because he saw it. But this is actually not true. What happened here is actually related to the facts we have just quoted. So the jinn and shaitan, in their attempts to make us to believe false things, and to make us to believe that there are power outside the power of Allah, and to make us to believe that they can actually render assistance to us, the one Allah has not rendered to us. They want to make us to believe that we can go beyond what the limit Allah has given us. So one of the ways they do is that they will transform themselves to the what? To the form of somebody who have died. It is actually a jinn that takes the form of the person. It is the jinn. And the jinn has this ability. So those creatures of Allah that Allah creates with energy, you know, creatures of Allah can be grouped into two based on the material of their creation. So we have, and Allah breathed energy into us. Then we became human beings. But there are some of the creation of Allah, they were purely created from energy. Like when he was sent to Maryam, the mother of Prophet Isa, alayhi salam, he transformed to a shape of human being. فَتَمَثَّلَ لَهَا بَشَرًا سَوِيًّا. Jibreel took a form of a complete, full-grown human being, and he's an angel. There are instances where he said they were with Prophet Muhammad. The incident, Prophet told them that this is Jibreel. He came to teach you your what? Your religion. So Jibreel took the form of what? A human being. So it is actually possible for what? For creatures of Allah that are created from energy to actually transform to human being. The jinn also do this. It is very easy for them. So now, because of that, they have ability to take the form of somebody who have died several years ago, or who have just died, or somebody who is no more living, and be acting in that person's capacity. So somebody who does not understand this will believe it is actually the person who have died, but it's not possible for somebody who have died to come back to life. So this is the first round. Anybody who have died, it is impossible for him to come back to life. He's dead, and the only to believe that a dead person can still live. So here we understand that it is actually not possible for human beings who have died to come back to life. So here Sheikh says, he said, لَقَدْ سَدَّ النَّبِيُّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ كُلَّ تُرْكِ الْمُفَدِّيَ إِلَى الشِّرْكِ. Prophet Muhammad has blocked all paths that lead to shirk. Every path that leads to shirk. One of the fundamental principles of Islam is that Islam forbids shirk, and not only shirk, anything that can also lead to shirk are also forbidden. And this is actually a general principle. So if something is sinful, anything that leads to that sin is also what is forbidden. All traces, all paths that can lead to shirk has been blocked by Prophet Muhammad in his golden speech, in his golden hadith and verses of the Quran. And one of them, he said, وَأَذَّرَ مِنْهَا غَايَةُ التَّحْذِيرِ. And Prophet, he warned us in the most pronounced form of warning, anything that can lead to shirk. He said, وَمِنْ ذَلِكَ الْمَسْأَلَةِ وَمِنْ ذَلِكَ مَسْأَلَةُ الْقُبُورِ. Among this issue, the Prophet has warned us and forbidden us, and has forbidden for us, because so among the way he blocked it, he said, فَقَدْ وَضَعَ ضَوَابِطَ الْوَاقِيَةِ مِنْ عِبَادَتِهَا. He has placed rules, guidelines that are protective, that can protect us from falling into shirk out of this path, because Shaitan actually used those paths. You see, the first contact between human being and Shaitan does not know how to mislead mankind. He was not having idea of how to mislead. He promised that he is surely going to mislead us. He said, فَبِمَا أَغْوَيْتَنِي لَأَقْعُدَنَّ لَهُمْ صِرَاطَكَ الْمُسْتَقِيمَ. I am surely going to some emotions of mankind. So these are the weak points Shaitan take advantage of. And that was the first area Shaitan used to cause the first form of shirk that has ever been committed against Allah, against Tawhid on the earth surface. So and that happened to the people of who? People of Prophet Nuh. Before Prophet Nuh, nobody associated partner with Allah. Nobody violated Tawhid. Nobody do anything different from what? From the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. 10th century, we can understand it to be 100 years, isn't it? I mean, 1,000 years, isn't it? But that may not be true. The reason why we assume, because nowadays, the average age of people nowadays is 100 years. That's the average age, isn't it? So because century actually rule or corner is actually talking about people, average age of people that live. Around that time, the average age of people is 1,000. Like Allah mentioned by Prophet Nuh himself. Allah said, Prophet Nuh spent among his people Al-Fawzan illa Khamsina what? He spent 1,000 years, 50 years less than 1,000. That is 950 years. Prophet Adam himself was up to that number of years, 1,000. And the average age of people of that time. So if that is the average age of people, it means 1 century then will be 1,000. Now it means for 10,000 years, nobody commits shirk against Allah. Then what happened? So there are some people who are very righteous among the people of Noah. They are very righteous. They were very upright. They were very obedient and heedful of Allah's instruction. And because of this, their people love them. And this is another secret. So if you want people to actually love you, or to have trust in you, or to get close to you, wallahi, you only need Allah, not any other thing. It is not your money. Allah, like Allah told Prophet Muhammad, Allah said, if you are to spend whatever in the heart service, you will not be able to match or to bring the Sahaba together. وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ أَلَّفَ بَيْنَهُمْ. It was Allah that made them to love one another. Because of what? Because of His power. It's not your work. It's not your experience. It's not your intelligence. It is not what you actually want. So, like Allah also mentioned in Surah Al-Imran about Prophet Muhammad, Allah said, فَبِمَا رَحْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ لِنْتَ لَهُمْ وَلَوْ كُنْتَ غَضًّا غَلِيظَ الْقَلْبِ لَانفَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ. Out of the rahmah of Allah, that you are lenient and you are soft towards your Sahaba, they are with you, they are always with you. It is not because you are Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I didn't mean you are harsh towards them. I didn't mean you are very stern and you are impolite. You will have run away. What keeps them with you is your what? Is your character. Is your worship. So these people of Prophet Nuh, their people love them. And the love did not stop after the what? After their death. When they died, their people was very sad. And they felt they have lost something that they cannot actually bear. That is unbearable to them. Shaitan noticed this. And this is one of our weak points. If there is anything that when you lose it, you feel like you are empty, you cannot live again, Shaitan will actually make sure. He has always been making use of it. He will make sure you cannot be an exception. And that is why Allah tested Prophet Ibrahim in that area. Prophet Ibrahim, and when the child later come, when the child started growing up, he developed unusual love for the child. He loved what he was seeing. You know, all prophets of Allah, when you see them, you love them. The way, in fact, their structure, their being. Nobody can see a prophet without loving, except even Shaitan. You see, there are some women that doesn't love, not because they don't love their personality, it's because of the message. Before Prophet Muhammad started preaching to them, he was the most loved among the people of Makkah. All the prophets they are like that. Even Prophet Nuh. It was when he was telling them, Allah said you should do this. That is when they have problem. That is how Allah created all the prophets. Nobody will see them without liking or without admiring their personality. So, people of Prophet Nuh. So when these people die, when they die, they cannot actually bear the loss. Shaitan observed this. Actually, I was talking about Prophet Ibrahim. When Prophet Ibrahim, when he saw the manner in which his child was growing, he admired it, he loved it, he had strange love for the child. But one of the basis, one of the fundamental principles in Islam is that the only thing you are supposed to have the highest form of love for is Allah and His Messenger. Every other person you love, their love should come under the love of Allah and His Messenger. Then Allah wants to test Prophet Ibrahim. Because if you cannot give that thing for Allah, it means you love that thing for more than Allah. So now that you have seen that the way you love your child, I want to see whether you leave that child for me, which means you love me more than the child. So now Allah made him to see dream that he should what? He should sacrifice the child. Mind you, it is actually possible for Allah to send Jibril or angel to Ibrahim to inform him that I want you to do this. Allah didn't do that. Because if an angel has come, which means there's an active message from Allah to him, so he will not have any excuse not to do it. But now it came in form of dream, which means he can have an excuse. If he refuses to do it, he may say, I don't know, it's actually a message. I only thought it's a dream. So I just think it is just. I test him in that way. Because this is one of the gateway of Shaitan. Okay, you love this thing more than me. Wallahi, you surely fail. Wallahi, you cannot be an exception. Nobody has ever gets. Okay, you love somebody more than Allah. That is why you can do what Allah says you should not do. That is shirk. Whether you agree or not. Not even your child. Not even your parents. Nobody should be loved more than Allah. The only person you should love most is who? Allah and His Messenger. And even like the Prophet said, that until He is the most loved one, even more than people that are close to you, then you are not yet a mu'min. Your iman is not yet what? Complete. So, back to the people of Nuh, when Shaitan noticed this, that they have strange belief, affection, and belief, and trust, and they don't want to lose them. They cannot cope with their loss. What did they do? What did Shaitan do? He came to them and tell them what he believed can actually calm them down and remove their sadness. Okay, I can see how unhappy you are. I can see how sad you are. I can see that because of your loss, you cannot bear it. I can see how this situation is unbearable for you. But I have a suggestion. It came in form of human being. Another thing, Shaitan can come to you in form of a friend. Shaitan can come to you in front of people that are close to you. It can either take their form or it will inspire them to talk to you. You have to be aware of this. This is actually fact. So the yardstick, the way to understand that this is actually Shaitan talking from this person's mouth is what he is saying consistent with what Allah said. Is we doing the correct thing? Is that the way Prophet said we should do it? If it is not, wallahi it's Shaitan. Wallahi tallahi it is Shaitan. Because Shaitan actually know, if I come as a Shaitan, nobody wants Shaitan. If I come as a stranger, there are chances of you discriminating. No, I will come as somebody who is close to you. Somebody you love, somebody you care about, somebody you love to listen to, somebody you obey. Why don't you do it like this? Why don't you take it like this? Why don't you avoid that? Why can't you do this way? And it's true, fam. And because I love you, if not because it is you, I wouldn't have done it this way. Okay, I'm going to do it this way. So you have taken him as your Lord. One day, when Allah revealed a verse in the Quran that the Banu Israel, they have taken their Habar and Ruban as their Lord. Then they came to the Prophet. They said, but we don't worship them. The Prophet said to them, is it not that when they give you instruction, and the instruction against the law of Allah, is it not that you implement them? They say yes. That means you are worshiping them. Any person you obey, you follow his instruction. Against the instruction of Allah, you are worshiping that person. It's a form of worship. Okay, Allah said don't do this. The person said do, and you do. Is that not a worship? According to Prophet, whether you understand or not, Prophet says it's worship. So these people, Shaitan came in form and he gave them this false advice, and because of their feelings, they accepted it. They said, wow, this is a very good idea. Even though we have lost them, but we can still keep their memory when we see their status. Shaitan said, create a status for them, create image. When you see this image, you have the memory. You don't forget them. They are not gone forever. They said, wow, this is a very beautiful idea. We have admitted it. And they immediately implemented that wrong advice that was given. Mind you, before that time, there was no law in any Sharia that said, don't make an image. There was no law that said, don't make an image. There are some Sharia of some of the prophets that making image was allowed. But in Sharia of Prophet Muhammad, it is what? Disallowed, it's forbidden for one of these reasons. If there's a time, we'll come back to that. Like Prophet Sulaiman. So Allah permits him to make image. The jinn, Yamaluna Lahu Ma Yasha.